All right, here we go on this last Friday before the NHL Christmas break. On the Real Kipper and Bourne Show, we are live on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. Nick Kiprios, Justin Bourne, back from the dead. Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz also along for the next 2 hours.
Yes, sir.
Sammy?
Yeah.
You got some color back.
Yeah. I'm one of these stupid headphones. I forgot my headphones. I look like DJ Sammy over here. Listen, I needed yesterday, wasn't in great shape. Still not in perfect shape, as you can probably hear. But here's what I'll say. First things, I can only imagine the things that were said about me yesterday. I can only imagine.
Praise.
Well, you listened.
No, are you crazy? No, I didn't listen.
Absolutely not.
I'm not that kind of guy. And also, my mom sent, when she came down here a month ago, she brought these specific treats, and she's like, you got to bring these in to the guys.
They were good.
They're very good, but
High end.
But if it wasn't for those treats, I might have still been in bed. So,
Well, thank you very much for the treats.
yeah, there you go.
So no
Thank you,
IR,
No.
just really a maintenance day.
Day to day.
Just you cuddling with Louie yesterday.
Yeah.
You have a little mulled wine and watch some sports.
Did
No?
not. No, all dark day.
Well, we got a game day. We're squeezing the last few in. The Leafs again will play tomorrow night, Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada, the New York Islanders in town, and then we'll close it off. And we will have our Real Kipper and Bourne show on Monday, Sammy.
Oh, we
but
will,
it
eh?
will be 5 to 7, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Because of a 2 p.m. puck drop
Okay.
against Winnipeg. So still plenty more here on our show. But in the meantime, we'll get ready for the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Buffalo Sabres. And JB, you and I will disappear at 6 p.m. and race over for our 6:30 pregame show on Sportsnet Ontario, minus the ugly green sweatshirt you're wearing.
I'm at so I don't know if people know how big the Sportsnet campus is here, but I'm wearing this, and I got to be on air in a suit with makeup on, 6:30. I don't even know what we're talking about.
Maybe you got 25 minutes.
Yeah.
By the time we cross over, you got 25 minutes before we're live.
But the
on
last
air.
time you did this, you did wear a suit.
I know, and I
Yeah.
forgot today because I was just so pleased with myself for wearing my stupid sweatshirt.
Well,
I mean, it is a great sweater.
it's Scarborough Golf Club, which we love.
Yeah, a beautiful place.
But we just hate the green.
But it's awful. Yeah.
I don't hate
But
it.
that's the whole premise of ugly sweater,
Yeah.
green, ugly time of year to wear that
I think
stuff.
this is it. It's okay to be gaudy and kitschy and weird, right? I don't know.
Okay, so is there anything ugly about the Toronto Maple Leafs lineup that they had to make major changes on the blue line? Do you want to start there? Matt Murray, of course, is in tonight. That in itself is a big storyline. Where do you want to start there?
Let's
Ugly
start
sweater.
there. To me, that's the the big story of the day. Matt Murray. It's been 600 and some days since he played a game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, I think that's pretty noteworthy. Kip, this guy had double hip surgery, and making his return tonight.
Sammy, you got a few words before we go into Kippers Clippers?
I think it's pretty awesome that he's gotten back here.
Kudos to him.
Full credit. And I have no idea how it's going to go tonight. I mean, he's had a pretty good stretch in the AHL. He's a professional goalie. He's won the cup a couple times. But you got to give the guy credit for going down to the AHL, not making much of a fuss by all accounts, playing a lot, and earning his way back here, and he gets to start tonight.
Having played some sports and doing some TV, I know the time you're most nervous is not necessarily once it all starts. It's like now. I bet Matt Murray right now, maybe he's getting to the rink in the next half hour. He's putting his suit on. He's going to make his NHL return.
Yeah.
I bet he's feeling some butterflies right now. Must be pretty excited.
Let's go to Craig Berube on his thoughts of getting Matt Murray back in tonight.
Clip.
He's played well down there, and we thought we'd bring him up here and get him involved here tonight with, the Stolarz injury. Veteran guy that's been around, and, obviously the last couple of years with injuries and things like that with him, but he's back to health, and, he's playing well down there, and like I said, veteran guy.
Kip, do you think his reputation, his name in the NHL still carries a lot of weight? Like people still think of him as much better than some of these prospect guys like Hildeby? And
Yeah, I do. And it probably led me to believe when I told you guys a while ago that there was interest in the Leafs having Matt Murray come back in some capacity, and then the thought that there'd be other interest around the league.
That someone else would have snapped up Matt Murray.
That's when you dry heaved, as I recall.
Me too.
You too.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in fairness,
and-
we have not been proven wrong yet. He's back. That's great. But
Yeah, valid point.
Yeah.
We'll see how he looks, how it feels moving forward. Like, it's been a long road, and it's just the double surgery on his hips was kind of the end of kind of a long bad run.
mhm.
If we start him over after the surgery, it's looking and feeling okay now once again for him. But prior to that, that was an ugly kind of last few years for him, which really bottomed out when he got kicked to the curb by the Ottawa Senators,
Yeah.
and then the Leafs picked him up.
You feel for anyone who's a professional athlete who loses their status, role, all that because of something out of their control like injury. But that's what we're talking about when we talk about Stolarz and when we talk about Joseph Woll. Are these guys at risk of that? This guy has been on the other end of it. What's fascinating for me tonight is I'm reading an article here. After double hip surgery in April, Sabres prospect Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is back on the ice. And that's from 2019. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is the goalie for the Buffalo Sabres tonight. So this is many years later from that. So you can come through this and play for a lot of years after.
Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead.
I was just going to say, if we want to hear the second clip from Berube on Matt Murray as well.
Okay.
Just to close it off. Clip 2, please, Derek.
Yeah, dedicated guy, obviously he's won 2 cups and he's done it all, but, he still has a lot left in the tank and he wants to continue playing. So it takes a lot of hard work, but, it takes a lot of hard work and he's already accomplished the ultimate goal a couple times, but he still has a lot of fire inside and wants to, get back to the form he had once.
So that clip stuck out to me because you've always, and Borny and I not doubted you, but we're always surprised by you saying how much this guy really, because remember when he went on LTIR, we were like, oh, he's done. He's never going to play again for the Leafs. It's done. And you were always like, nah, I don't know. He really wants to push. And that clip there just tells you that, like, for him to stick with it, double hip surgery, playing in the AHL, fighting his way back here, like, he must have a fire.
Yeah.
It was it was the thought to clean up one hip, and I think it was don't quote me, but I think it was pretty much his idea to get the second one done too.
Yeah, while you're in there.
While you're in
While
there,
you're digging around.
You're cutting stuff up.
let's go. I'll get the deluxe. Right?
It's like picking a car wash at a gas station.
Yeah, exactly. I'll
Give
get
me the ultimate package.
deluxe hip surgery.
Does that come with a vacuum?
Yeah, rust-proof those two while you're in there.
That's, I think, basically the way it went down.
Yeah.
And he's been pain-free for the first time in a while here. You can't forget that he just turned 30 in May.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about like a mid-30s to 40, closer to 40. We're talking about a very still relatively young man in professional sports.
Was he like no older than Stolarz, right? Like maybe half a year older than Stolarz. So, yeah, it's not inconceivable that, and we see goalies have success in their 30s all the time. So,
Leafs facing center crisis amid injuries, eyeing trade market for solutions. As the Toronto Maple Leafs battle through a growing injury list and a suspension, their lack of depth at the center position has become a glaring issue. According to Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman in his latest 32 Thoughts article, the Leafs are among the teams exploring trade options to bolster their lineup. This effort is coming amid increasing competition from teams like the Chicago Blackhawks and Nashville Predators, who have also set their sights on improving their center depth. Friedman didn't mince words about the Leafs' predicament. The teams currently focusing on centers, including Chicago and Nashville, must consider when others will enter the market. Toronto will undoubtedly be one of those teams, he wrote. While the Blackhawks and Predators may have an edge in terms of cap space and assets, the Leafs remain a team to watch as the season progresses. The Leafs situation is urgent, with up to 7 forwards currently unavailable due to injury or suspension. Ryan Reeves is serving a 5-game suspension, while key players like Austin Matthews, upper body, Matthew Knies, upper body, Kaje Jarnkrok, groin/sports hernia, David Kampf, lower body, Max Domi, lower body, and Max Pacioretty, lower body, are all sidelined. The team has even considered temporarily shifting Mitch Marner to the center position, highlighting the severity of their depth issues. This isn't just a short-term concern for the Leafs. Depth at center has been a persistent challenge for the team, and while stopgap solutions like Marner could help in the interim, the front office appears keen to explore longer-term fixes. For fans of the blue and white, this has been a recurring theme. The Leafs' center depth often becomes a problem at the worst possible times. James Myrtle of The Athletic recently added more fuel to the speculation, naming several potential trade targets who could help the Leafs address their issues. Among them is Ryan O'Reilly, a familiar name for Toronto fans. O'Reilly, who signed a 4-year, $18 million deal with Nashville in 2023, might be a trade candidate if the Predators' underwhelming start to the season, 6-11-3, 31st in the league, prompts a rebuild. However, his steep price tag and history with the Leafs, including rejecting a free agency offer less than 2 years ago, make this a complex and potentially unlikely move. Other names mentioned by Myrtle include former Leaf Nazem Kadri, currently with Calgary, as well as players like Michael Granlund, Nick Jugstad, Brock Nelson, Yanni Gourde, Trent Frederick, Radek Faksa, and Sean Kuraly. While some of these options seem more plausible than others, it's clear that general manager Brad Treliving will need to get creative to find the right piece without mortgaging the team's future. Cap space remains one of the biggest obstacles for the Leafs. Unlike teams like Chicago and Nashville, which have more flexibility and assets, Toronto is walking a financial tightrope. As Friedman noted, competition will intensify as cap-constrained teams strive to create room. For the Leafs, that could mean waiting for the market to develop further, a risky move given their current needs. The situation also highlights the Leafs' ongoing struggle to build a roster that can withstand the grueling nature of an NHL season. Injuries are an inevitability in hockey, but Toronto's current predicament underscores the importance of depth, a quality the team has struggled to consistently maintain. Looking back on recent years, the Leafs have often leaned heavily on their star players, particularly Matthews, Marner, and William Nylander. While these players have delivered in spades, the lack of reliable depth options has left the team vulnerable in critical moments. The current crisis at center is merely the latest example of this recurring issue. Some fans have called for more aggressive moves from Treliving, arguing that now is the time to strike while the team's core is in its prime. Others, however, are more cautious, pointing to the dangers of overpaying for short-term fixes. Striking the right balance will be key, especially as the Leafs aim to keep their championship window open. Despite the challenges, there's no denying that Toronto has the talent to be a contender, provided they can patch up their lineup. The ongoing rumors and speculation surrounding potential trades show that the Leafs are at least exploring every avenue to strengthen their roster. For fans of the blue and white, this moment feels like a pivotal point in the season. With a lineup ravaged by injuries and a tough schedule ahead, the Leafs must act decisively to avoid falling behind in the standings. The addition of a dependable center could be the difference between weathering the storm or watching another season slip away. Whether it's O'Reilly, Kadri, or another surprise name, one thing is certain: the Leafs are under pressure to deliver. And for a fan base as passionate and loyal as Toronto's, there's no room for excuses. The time to act is now, and Leafs Nation is watching closely. As the trade deadline approaches, the stakes couldn't be higher. Will Treliving pull off a move that solidifies the Leafs' status as a contender, or will the search for center depth become yet another chapter in the team's long history of what-ifs? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure: it's never boring in Leafs land. As the Maple Leafs navigate this critical juncture, their fan base remains as vocal as ever. Toronto is a city that breathes hockey, and the pressure on Brad Treliving to make the right moves is immense. Every decision he makes, or doesn't make, will be scrutinized, from talk radio to social media, where Leafs Nation is already debating the merits of the various names being floated as potential trade targets. Among the louder debates is whether the team should prioritize a high-profile acquisition like Ryan O'Reilly or Nazem Kadri, or focus on a lower-cost, reliable center who can fill a supporting role without costing too many future assets. While O'Reilly's leadership and playoff experience make him an attractive option, his contract and recent history with the Leafs add layers of complexity to any potential reunion. Similarly, Kadri's gritty, two-way playstyle remains a fan favorite, but his cap hit and availability might render him an unrealistic target. Another factor complicating the Leafs situation is their tight salary cap. While Chicago and Nashville can make moves with relative ease due to their financial flexibility, Toronto must navigate a labyrinth of constraints to make any trade work. This likely means including salary retention or moving existing contracts to make room, which could drive up the cost of any potential deal. The question then becomes, how much are the Leafs willing to sacrifice to address their immediate needs? One potential trade partner generating buzz is the Seattle Kraken. Yanni Gourde, a dependable two-way center, has been mentioned as a possible target. Gourde's versatility and championship pedigree from his time with Tampa Bay make him an appealing option. Seattle, however, is in playoff contention and may not be inclined to part with a key piece unless the Leafs can provide a substantial return. Another intriguing name is Brock Nelson of the New York Islanders. Nelson is a consistent scorer and reliable faceoff-man, qualities that would undoubtedly bolster Toronto's center depth. However, the Islanders are notoriously cautious when it comes to trades, and prying Nelson away would likely require a significant package, including picks or prospects that the Leafs may be hesitant to part with. For all the trade talk, some analysts believe the solution might come from within. Sheldon Keefe has shown a willingness to experiment with his lineup, and players like Pontus Holmberg or Fraser Minten could be given an opportunity to step up. While relying on less experienced players carries risks, it might be the Leafs' only option if the trade market proves too costly or slow to develop. Adding to the Leafs' urgency is the timing. The Atlantic Division remains one of the toughest in the league, with teams like Boston, Florida, and Tampa Bay continuing to dominate. Any prolonged slump could see Toronto slip further down the standings, putting their playoff hopes in jeopardy. For a team with Stanley Cup aspirations, failing to address their weaknesses could have catastrophic consequences. Brad Treliving's history as a general manager suggests he's not afraid to make bold moves. His time with the Calgary Flames was marked by blockbuster trades, including the acquisition of Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar in the Matthew Tkachuk deal. Leafs fans hope he brings that same decisiveness to Toronto, especially as the trade deadline looms. Beyond the immediate need for a center, this situation underscores a broader issue with the Leafs roster construction. Depth has been a perennial concern, and while Toronto boasts some of the league's top-end talent, their reliance on a handful of stars has left them vulnerable in moments like this. Moving forward, addressing this imbalance must be a priority for the front office if the team is to achieve sustained success. As the Leafs head into a critical stretch of the season, the next few weeks could define their trajectory.